Hey, what's going on, everybody? Appreciate you tuning in. We're back with another edition of the On the Ball podcast, where we'll dive into some NBA, some NFL, some college football as well tonight. And hopefully, you guys come on in, tune in, jump in the chat, let us know how you feel about what we talk about. But you guys already know I'm not doing this alone. Got my boy here, Brett, guarding the three. Brett, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Get to watch the Bucks tonight in the in-season tournament finals. Super excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, look, it's the second year of it, and I feel like it's still. I feel like it's still doing its purpose, serving a purpose. It creates a lot of buzz with some early season games. Because now that we're getting kind of close to Christmas, I do think people are paying a little bit more attention to the NBA. Obviously, Christmas Day is kind of like its big day to really get going and shine, despite all the stuff about their viewership being down and everything. But I mean, we'll probably talk about that game in a little bit in terms of what to look for. So, with that, we're going to actually start with the NBA because now we have detailed instructions about what the All Star game is going to look like. So, I think with that, we now have a better idea of how everything's going to work, what their plans are for um, how they're going to do the formatting with the voting and everything like that. They detailed it out in this article, so I did want to kind of go through that and obviously get your thoughts on it. And anybody tuning in, let me know what you guys think. So the format, you got 4 teams, 3 games, one night. So obviously the one game they're doing away with it. Adam Silver, I think, in this was talking about how last year's game with the 397 points, like that was pretty much a low point for the game, and I think with that makes a lot of sense. So with Adam Silver wanting to be more competitive, what they are doing is, like I said, the little tournament. Let's talk about the captains are all right. So voting format, voting is going to stay the same. So you do what you normally do. Vote for the starters. The coaches will pick the 14 reserves, getting you your 24 players. So it's going to be 3 teams with 8. The 24 split with 8. And then the Rising Stars team that wins the Rising Stars tournament will then become the 4th team in the tournament. So there's a chance that a Rising Stars team could beat NBA All Stars, which I'm sure that would create quite the buzz. But the biggest question I had, and I don't know if you had this one as well, Brett, was how are they going to split up the 24 voted on, well, the 24 All Stars into 3 teams of 8? We also learned that as well. They are going to do Team Shaq, Team Chuck, Team Kenny to pick from the 24. They'll draft their team of 8, and then the Rising Stars team will be Team Candace Parker, which I think that's a great idea. I think the back and forth between Shaq, Charles, Kenny, well, Candace will have her team at that point, but Shaq, Charles, and Kenny, the infighting amongst picks with them, I think will be wildly entertaining. I think it'll be better. I think it'll be the version that they were hoping to get when they had like LeBron and Giannis do their draft, and that it just never hit for me. So, what do you think about this change to the format and the voting and everything staying the same? Like, are you a fan of this one?
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth trying. The all I know is I saw Kevin Durant saying that he hates it, but listen, with the lack of effort with the All Star game, and it
Exactly.
has been, you had to change it up. So I'm for it. I'm totally for trying something new. And honestly, I feel like people are going to be shocked if the Rising Stars team wins. I don't think that'd be shocking at all. I think they're going to be the ones playing with the most energy and something to play for. So
Mm-hmm.
it'll be interesting, and I'm all for it because the way it was before, East versus West, it hasn't really been competitive outside of like 2020.
Right. And that's where I feel like something need to be done. Yeah, Durant talking about he hates it, but then talking about he'll give it a chance. It's like, so why don't you just say you'll give it a chance? Why come out and say you hate it, then say you'll give it a chance? Because what we've been told with this is superstars and the like are in line with this new format. Which, if they are, then we don't need people like Durant now coming out and saying they don't like it. Because Durant was saying we should just go back to the traditional East versus West. I don't know if KD has a forgetful memory, but tried that. Doesn't work. I feel like the only format the league probably hasn't tried yet was US versus the world. And let's be honest, it would just be more of the same anyway. So at least with this, I believe the games only go up to 40, I think. So you don't have to worry about 250 to 2 something. Like quick games, 40, keep them moving. I I think that's the best way to do it. I mean, yes, we'll obviously have to see. We'll see the product is better, obviously. See coaching staffs, the best records, East and West, blah blah. And East West head coaches will each coach a team in the tournament. Okay. And there is prize money, of course. 1.8 million. Each player on the championship team gets 125. Players on the runner-up get 50. Players on teams eliminated in semifinals get 25,000. So I mean, hey, if you're a Rising Stars player, you'll take 25. You'll take 50. You'll love that 125. So that's the NBA format. I feel like you could probably agree with the only downfall would obviously be if players don't buy in, but it seems like they're on board with this. So should be excited to see
I don't
what
even,
happens.
I don't even really. That would be a downfall, but it's just the downfall every year. Like,
Right.
I just hope that, let's say that, like, I think this is interesting. I hope people give it a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And if honestly the All Star players don't want to try, maybe it's weird because you want to see quote unquote the best in the world play each other, but if they're not really gonna play, like at that point, wouldn't it be almost more fun just to find players that actually want to go all out? Like I honestly like if you ask me if I'd rather watch like the last couple of All Star games or like a good game of 5v5 with like 10 bench players, I would watch 5v5 with 10 bench players and teams of just guys that actually want to play ball and not
Mm-hmm.
just go through the motions.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's very fair. Like,
Like, honestly, even if you made it like bringing up some of these college kids that just want to show what they got on the biggest stage, like,
mm-hmm.
all I know is if, like, the All Stars don't want to try with this new format either, maybe it's time to mix it up and just, sure, we still have a quote unquote All Star game, but keep it short and then throw out some players that actually want to play.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if this doesn't work, I honestly don't know where they would go. Because I think we as fans would say just get rid of it. The players will never go along with that because it is an opportunity for certain fans, especially like a lot of kids. Because All Star Weekend, I still think is really big with younger viewers.
Yeah.
That this is their chance to see like all of their favorite players in one spot. So you don't want to take that away from them. But yeah, the intensity on the court does. It does need to look like the players actually care that they're there, and it's not like it's something where it's just an inconvenience that they're just trying to get through as quick as possible.
Right. Like, honestly, like I said, I'd rather see some lower, maybe non All Stars play, and then the All Stars can go meet kids and sign autographs for the night. Or
Yeah.
I definitely don't think that we should abolish the All Star game in general. I think there's still value
Mm-hmm.
for sure, even if it's just getting those guys to getting those guys there, and like you said, having some of the kids meet their idols.
Yeah.
I think there's still definitely value, but yeah, we gotta crank up the intensity to 11.
Right. All right. Well, obviously, as we get closer to the game, we'll probably talk about it a little bit more. I mean, who knows? Maybe once we learn the 24 players, maybe we do like a. So next comment, but if you both as a commissioner of the NBA, what would be your idea All Star weekend? I think that's a good. Hey, that's a good question there, Anthony.
I don't think All Star Weekend needs a lot of tweaking. You just got to find people that want to be there. Like, okay, the dunk contest. Do you know how many like professional like dunkers there are that maybe not players but just straight up dunkers
Mm-hmm.
go? Maybe invite some of them to the dunk contest. You mix them in with some players that might actually want to be there. And I think that's just the key. You got to find people that love hoops and don't that'll really just go all out. So I don't know if I would change much. I just think I would try to just change maybe the pool of people that want to be there and just try to really find people that want to compete.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, it'd be the same thing because I think the events themselves, like the Saturday night stuff, I think is fine. I might even lean more into that and add more. I know they used to have the which one was it? It was like Shooting Stars, the one with like all the numbers on the court you shot from, and like higher score one or something like that. Like I would add stuff like that. I would add. I don't know. I feel like Saturday night, as good as it is, you could probably add a few more events to it because look, the dunk contest kind of is what it is. I think only because if you're old enough, like you've seen basically every dunk that could be done. I think at this point, the only way to really say the dunk contest, just get big names into it. Like if Anthony Edwards is in it, would we really care what kind of dunks he was doing? We would just cheer the fact that he's doing the dunk contest. So I think it's the only way you can really fix that. But yeah, in terms of the game, I'm willing to give this format a shot. I think this format is about as good as it's going to be. And yeah,
Yeah, the dunk contest it's rough because we've seen all the dunks.
yeah,
It's almost like we got too spoiled in 2016 and it just went all downhill from there.
yeah.
Not to the fault of anybody, it's just Aaron Gordon and Zach Levine put on
That
such a
was such
show
a good
that
show. Yeah.
like it's impossible to top that because
Mm-hmm.
now every dunk contest it seems to almost like circle back to back in my day we had Aaron Gordon and Zach Levine
Mm-hmm.
dunking over mascots and everything.
Yeah. I do think a big problem with the dunk contest are like the panel. Like Kenny and them, every time somebody does a dunk, it's like, oh, we've seen that already. Yeah, Kenny, we get it. But by you saying that just dampens the mood of everything. Because we
I
know that the human body can only do so much. We just care about seeing name guys out there just doing whatever. Because
I
who knows, the one off chance that like 90% of the dunks and stuff we've seen, there's that 1% chance that somebody does something that's a little different that we go, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. That's why I'm like, just leave it alone. Like people do their dunk, just get the event over with and move on.
I think we know people love to have this conversation about why the ratings are down, why less people seem to be interested in basketball or whatever. And I love the guys from inside the NBA, but I just think they're such a big problem at the same time. They're like a double edged sword. They're funny and their chemistry is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm watching them and they're like, oh yeah, I've seen that dunk before. Or like Chuck talking about saying the Houston Rockets don't know how to play basketball and crapping on the product.
Yeah.
It's like if I walked around telling people that don't watch the N1 podcast, it sucks. And then I'm like, why aren't people watching the N1 podcast? I feel like the marketing and presentation just isn't there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
even on the NBA's own like page in the breakdown for Houston OKC, they're like, well, this isn't the premier marquee matchup that the NBA wants. It's the first and third seed in the West. What are you talking about? How much better can you really get it right now? So
Yeah.
I think that just overall in general, guys associated with the NBA like that, I just think they have to really try to just get you more excited, get you involved. because you see it well done in the NFL. I could be watching the Giants Panthers game in Germany, and they were trying so hard to do a good job to get you hyped up and telling you
Hmm.
everything that's right about the game. The NBA, we put two of the best teams going right now, and they'll tell you, yeah, that's not the matchup we wanted.
Yeah,
So I think we just need more optimism and positive outlook, and people actually hyping up these games.
I think that's a good point because so here's the thing: when I talk about WNBA coverage, I think they go so far the other way, where they're positive with everything. But I get it because the WNBA is still trying to grow an audience, so they don't want to necessarily bash players and gameplay while still growing. So I think that the NBA needs, like you said, so more people who aren't going to trash Houston and OKC because it's not Lakers Celtics. Like, take this time when we're in transition. What's going on, Jory? Where we're in transition of like Curry LeBron generation with your Anthony Edwards Tatum generation. Start focusing on new stars and new teams and start building them up because then we don't have to have that conversation like they were having last year. What happens when LeBron, Steph, and KD retire? What happens with the league? The league will be fine if you keep building up younger stars to then get them groomed for being the faces of the league next. Like that's where I agree with you that the media in the NBA does more harm to itself at times than good, and that's why you kind of hear a lot of people really downplaying the product because they like Chuck. Chuck hates the fact that teams shoot the three. Chuck, it's been kind of going on for a few years now. You kind of have to get on board with it and change your way of thinking. Like it's what it is. Like that's just how it is right now.
Yeah, you mentioned the WNBA. Almost my problem with the WNBA coverage is they're almost. It's weird because if you go outside of like the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese narrative circles, my problem with the coverage is they're almost too positive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's good to be positive about the product. I was just saying
Yeah.
the NBA is too negative, but they're like so like positive and protective to a point. If you like give valid criticism, it's just you're just hating on women. And I'm like, oh, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was attacked a couple times because I would be asked like, well, what do you think about Caitlin Clark? It's like, well, I think she has a turnover. I think she's a phenomenal athlete. I think she's generational. But then I'd be like, I think that she has a turnover issue to work through and to get more used to the physicality. Oh, you just hate women. Like
Yeah.
I think that the NBA needs to get more positive, and the WNBA coverage just needs to understand that constructive criticism is okay, and we
Yeah.
don't need to get defensive every time it happens.
Right. Yeah. I agree with that. Like they could learn a little bit from each other.
Right. If we could combine the two coverages into like one,
It would be
it would
great.
be perfect.
Yeah. Let's see. So Trajan said rookie versus vet game. Give rookies a shot to put on a show against vets, and would vets really want to get owned by a bunch of rookies? I mean,
Combine the rising star
technically,
teams.
technically, you're going to get that with this because a Rising Stars team will be in the tournament against the three All Star teams. So that Rising Star team could make some waves and win that All Star tournament. We'll see what the vets would feel about that. And Trajan did, talking about the Red Sox make a move. Look, they got Garrett Crochet. Yes, I need them to do a little more, but let's see. Jory says they get so sensitive because a lot of the criticism comes with sideways comments, and because some players are so messy. Yes, that is the tricky part of the WNBA is that some people who do criticize it aren't trying to be constructive in any way. They just are, trashing the sport just to trash the sport. So I get where they get overprotective of that. But like you said, Brett, like if you watch Caitlin Clark and go, she has a turnover problem, that's not bashing her. That's like a legit criticism she had
Right.
last year. She
And
had a turnover issue.
I think some people should just be ignored altogether in WNBA discourse. The
Yes.
exact person that Jory's talking about. And I know she's not referencing it just one certain person. It's like a portion of the
Yeah.
fan base or group.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you're just criticizing just to hate, like then yeah, you don't really deserve a spotlight. But if you're being constructive and like then it's like okay, well, you're not trying to be hateful. So I
Mhm.
think there's just like a fine line at the end of the day, and some people just don't really deserve to be heard because they're just idiots. And some people are really just trying to be constructive. So it's really just trying to figure out who's who, and that can be tricky.
Yeah, like I said, with the WNBA, I get it because they had like a huge influx of new fans, and they're trying to, I think, weed out the ones who are legit fans and the ones you don't really need to pay attention to. But that's with any league that's trying to grow. But all right, let's keep it going here. So let me bring back up the screen share because we're going to go to.
Toyota Thon Love? Oh.
We'll save Toyota Thon Love for a little bit later. College football playoff will get underway. So Friday, I believe, will be the first game. So here's the bracket for everybody. We got Indiana, Notre Dame, got SMU, Penn State, Texas, Clemson, Tennessee, Ohio State. So looking at the first round games, who do you think might be on upset alert? Or do you think any of them? Do you think all the higher seeds will win?
You know what? The beautiful part about this sport and this format is anything's possible. One bad game and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
I very much think that every single team in the first round could be on upset alert. I don't think that the talent difference is completely overwhelming in the first round. So I think that I think it'll be a fun first round of the college football playoffs. And when it comes to upset alert, I think that's just every team. I think every single game right now can go either way.
Okay. I mean, I do think with this format that is a fair question. I mean, fair assessment, especially with transfer portal and everything, evening out the playing field. Although these are a lot of these are like the big name schools. But okay, so I guess the other question would be, who do you think meets up in the final?
Whew, that's a tough one. You know what? I'm gonna give me Boise State. I think Genty's about to carry them to the finals,
Okay,
and I'll go. I'll go a little bold here. I guess I'm gonna go with Texas A&M. Think or sorry, I'm gonna go with Texas. I think they'll come out of the 5 seed there and surprise everybody and make a run to the finals.
okay, Texas Boise State. All right,
Get
that would be interesting.
give me a fun matchup in the college
Yeah,
football finals.
why
I'll
not?
take it.
Why not? Anthony asks, random question: shouldn't Clemson have the bye over Arizona State? Let's see. So Arizona State won their conference. Was the Big 12? Clemson won the ACC. I think Arizona State was Arizona State ranked higher than Clemson at that point. I might have to look at that because that's a good question, Anthony. Hold on,
Oh,
because that's the only reason I could think of that they are ranked where they are.
oh, we just had a contract extension. That's cool. We'll get there in a minute.
Okay, yes. Um, George says Clemson should be happy they got in. That's also very true because yeah, they definitely needed to win that game in order to get in. Yeah, so Arizona State finished the ranking at 12. Clemson was 16. So that's why Arizona State has the bye instead of Clemson. I just realized that I looked it up and their ranking was literally right there next to the team. But that's okay. So yeah, Clemson 16, Arizona State 12. That's why they are there.
I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what happens with Bill in next year in the college football setting.
Yeah, yeah, that's gonna be
I
yeah, it's gonna be fun to
I
see.
think I think it's interesting because obviously there's going to be bigger name schools to go to and whatnot, and I'm sure more schools willing to pay more in NILs.
Hmm.
But I'm curious to see how many will go there, just because yeah, we all know that Bill has connections.
Yeah.
He probably is gonna give you the best chance. Almost feels like to make it to the NFL,
Hmm.
just because of how deep his connections run. So you go there, you play well, you impress Bill. I think your chances to get into the league grow tenfold.
Right. And if you're, if you're said NFL team and you want an evaluation on a certain guy at North Carolina and you get like the seal of approval from Bill Belichick, that's going to carry a lot of weight, for those kids. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting move. We'll see if next season we see North Carolina somewhere in this bracket, but I'm interested to see Bill at the college level. He said he's down there because the politics of the NFL were kind of too much. Well, now he's in the politics of college football. We'll see which one he prefers more. Do we think Indiana will be the TCU of last year, have to be in, but shouldn't be in? No, I don't know if that's what they'll be. They're facing Notre Dame, which would be tough, but I mean, Notre Dame's had their own shortcomings in a playoff setting as well. I think with the season that Indiana's had, the recent history of Indiana football, I don't have a problem with them being in. So no, I don't think they'll be the TCU. I think everybody thinks the TCU is going to be SMU, where they're glad they got in and maybe shouldn't be in because that's where a lot of the controversy was with them. I mean, Indiana. I'm not going to lie, that Indiana looks like they're out of place with this group, but I think they deserve to be there. I mean, those of you who are watching, like, what are your predictions for the final? So Brett's got Texas, Boise State. I will say I have Oregon, Penn State. I I think Penn State's in a good situation to get to the final. Um, Obviously, Boise State will be a challenge for them, but I think Penn State's defense will be up to the challenge with Genty, and then knocking out the other side of that bracket with Georgia, Notre Dame, and Indiana. I think Penn State could do it. So
I I think Gentile will just be fun because
yeah,
he was really respectful about Hunter winning the Heisman, but you know that he's probably going to come into the college football playoffs with a chip on his shoulder, which is
yeah.
scary
Well, it
for
should.
everybody else.
Yeah.
So that just means he's going to run harder, try to
Yeah.
run through people even more. So that's why I'm liking Boise State. I think we're going to get an extra motivated Genty,
Hmm.
and you're going to have to load 9 in the box to stop him because he's going to be impossible
Yeah.
for the next stretch of games.
Yeah. He rushed for what was it, like 2,500 yards, I think, which is crazy to think about. Anthony says nobody on the left other than Texas can go score for score with Oregon, which I guess is a good reason why Brett is choosing Texas to get to the final. I mean, that is true. The left side, like Oregon's high-powered offense, it's hard to see. Like Tennessee, Ohio State winner. I mean, maybe give Tennessee a better shot at Oregon, but even still, so yeah, that's a good observation there, Anthony. That's kind of the reason why I think Oregon gets out of that side. But like Brett also said, like this is college football. We've seen Oregon struggle this year with that high-powered offense. They struggled against Penn State, so it can be done on any random day. All right, let's keep it moving. So picks. It's been I think a couple of weeks since we've done picks. We're off and with everything, but this is where we are with the updated. So last time we did picks, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Brett, you went 3-0-2 because your Packers pick was a push and the Dolphins pick was a push. The odds again, two pushes, I don't know, but you did nail the Chargers, Bengals, and Panthers. You're now 28, 24, and 4. I went 3-1-1. So this is the week with the Bills -5. That was when they played the Rams. And they lost that like high scoring game, like 44-42.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So like this was Packers Lions, where the Lions won that like what score that game was it? It was a 3 point game,
34-31.
huh?
34-31.
There you go. And that's why it was a push there. The Chargers played. Hold on, I had this up. You have to go back a couple weeks to kind of remind you all.
And while he's looking that up, the extension is 3 years, 54 million for Buda Baker, third largest safety contract in NFL history. So he's staying with the Cardinals for the foreseeable future.
Okay. Shout out to Buda Baker.
Get that bag. He deserves it.
Yeah, yeah. Because I remember the game. Well, past week with the Patriots and the Cardinals, and like he was all over the field, so he definitely deserves that. But yeah, so Lions beat the Packers 34-31. That's where we got the push. The Chargers lost to the Chiefs 19-17, but we had the Chargers in the 3.5, so we nailed that one. The Bengals played the Cowboys on Monday night. Bengals won that one 27-20, so we both nailed that one. Like I said, the Dolphins beat the Jets 32-26 in overtime. So if they'd given them the chance to kick the extra point, you could have won. You could have won that one, but you ended with the push. The Bills, like I said, I had -5. They lost 44-42 to the Rams. And then you had the Panthers +12. That was the Eagles game where you watched that. You probably thought the Panthers should have won that one outright. But, they lost to the Eagles 22-16. And then I had the Seahawks +2.5 against the Cardinals. They won 30-18.
If Xavier Leggett won to smoke the catch.
And it was a great throw by Bryce Young, too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're 28-24-4. I'm 35-26-2. And we're gonna go ahead and look at.
I love how I have 4 freaking pushes. That's more than you and Dylan combined. Great at finding the pushes, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, you take the pushes and you determine the wins, you'd be 32-24. Like, that's right there. But hey, the pushes happen. They do happen. All right. This week, Thursday night, we have the Broncos with Bo Nix, with them on the verge of, I believe, clinching a playoff spot with a win on Thursday. And they're heading out to LA to face a Chargers team that's right there in that wild card race with them. The Broncos are 9-5. The Chargers are 8-6. The first teams out, the Colts, Dolphins, Bengals, all 3 of them are 6-8. So each of the wild card teams have a 2-game cushion. So depending on how certain things shake out, we could have all of our AFC playoff teams locked in by the end of this week, just waiting on positioning. So the Chargers, like I said, you got Jim Harbaugh turn that thing around, you got Herbert, you got everything there, you got their defense. Do the Broncos get their 10th win of the season? Or will the Chargers get the win here, will cover the 3, and I guess get their 9th win?
I'll take the Broncos getting their 10th win of the season and covering. I think this will be I think it'll be a close one. I think it'll be like a 21-17 game. But I do think that the Broncos barely cover in this game.
All right, so you got the Broncos +3. All right, Anthony's saying NFL flex out Miami versus Browns with Falcons versus Washington week 7. Yes, they did. Week 17, sorry. They did do that.
I'm glad.
Yeah, except for I don't need to see the Falcons on primetime, but I know they're doing that solely for Jaden Daniels, so I don't have any problem with that. Yeah, if you watch the Falcons last night against the Raiders, you would be like, yeah, you don't need to see that again. But I'm here for it.
That's fair, but also watching Miami on primetime would be even more painful.
Yeah. No, you're definitely right. You're definitely right. And the Browns are moving off of Jameis Winston. So it looks like it's DTR's time in Cleveland. Yeah. Go ahead and lock down that job.
Dolphins should move on from Tua, but they signed him to a 5-year extension.
Yeah, they're stuck. That does okay. All right, Anthony, you're building the intrigue now. If we get Penix versus Jaden Daniels, okay, all right, which I think very well could happen because I think Kirk he's kind of on his last legs as a starter, especially with the now interception prone nature that he's shown. Like the last 6 weeks, he's thrown a pick. I think he's making it very easy for Raheem Morris to make the switch to Penix. But so if the switch is made by that game, then yeah, it'll increase my intrigue in it. So for this one, I mean, it's tough to deny what the Broncos are doing right now. I mean, they're a team I completely missed the boat on coming into this season. But Bo Nix has played really well. The defense has done well. I think I'm gonna go with the Chargers on this one. It might literally be because it's in LA, not like LA some great home field advantage. You'll probably hear a lot of Broncos fans there, but I'm gonna trust them to get this win at home. So I'll take the Chargers -3. All right. Next up, we have the Bucks with Baker Mayfield heading down to Jerry World to face the Cowboys. Bucks are a 4-point favorite. I think the Bucks right now, if you are a team in the NFC, the Bucks might be one of the more dangerous teams right now because they're playing really well. You're getting good Baker right now, which he's a talented guy. He's a talented quarterback. But you're looking at them, they're 8-6. They're going into this one as a 4-point favorite, going on the road to Dallas. Dallas is 6-8. They're pretty much eliminated. I think the only way they get in, they have to win out, and Anthony's Commanders have to lose out, and they have to jump every other team that's in between them and the Commanders in order to get in. So there's a chance, but it's about like a blade of grass. That's like their chance of getting it. So how do you see this one playing out? Do the Cowboys keep their season alive, get the win, or do you see the Bucks covering and finally throwing the dirt on the Cowboys season?
You know what? I think the Cowboys season does end on Sunday, but I think it's going to happen in the most Cowboys way possible. I think the Cowboys will win this game.
Okay.
However, they're going to get eliminated by other factors anyway. The most Cowboys ending to this season is they're going to go on a win streak, completely nuke their draft spot.
Yeah.
While missing the playoffs. And I think that's going to happen. By all measures, the Buccaneers should win this game easily. The line could be -10, and the Buccaneers should still be favored to cover the spread. But football's weird, man. And if I've watched enough Cowboys history, this is exactly what's going to happen. So I'm going to pick the Cowboys to cover, and I think they're going to get the win.
That would be a Cowboys thing. Finish the season 9-8. Lose out by like a game or two, have Cowboys fans thinking, well, if Dak were healthy, we'd be a playoff team, and be like, no, you're a flawed team that just went on a run late. I'll take the Bucks -4. I'll take the Bucks to win. Just end all this with the Cowboys. I think we'll see more of Micah on the sidelines, just going all out for the cameras and disgust and all this kind of stuff. I think we'll see more of that. I think we'll see we'll still see good Baker Mayfield. I think, like I said, that team is clicking right now. Mike Evans is making plays as well. I think the Bucks get this one done. So I'll take the Bucks -4, which would give the Bucks their 9th win and would push them closer to clinching the NFC South. Then the Cowboys win only one game at home.
Yep, we're going bold. They're doing it again.
Yeah. Hey, once was nice. Twice is even better. That's kind of crazy. The Cowboys only winning one game in Jerry World. 1-6 at home. That's crazy.
The wild card race is weird this year, man. Like, especially in the NFC. Like, the 5th and 6th seed have 12 and 10 wins. Like, that is just insane. Even the 7th seed has 9.
Yeah.
So if you don't have 10, 11 wins, you're missing out in the NFC, which is crazy, or you're winning a division.
Yeah. Like, you have a Seahawks team that's 8-6 that's sitting on the outside looking in.
Yeah, and they're going to be hosting maybe by this point, they're going to be by the playoff start. Them or the Rams could be hosting a 13-win Vikings team in the first round.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Say if you're the 6 seed or you're the 3 seed, your reward here's a maybe by that point an 11-12 win Packer team.
Hmm.
So it's going to be an absolute gauntlet in the NFC, and I love it.
Yeah. I mean, look, even if you're the Eagles, like you might get 11-win Commanders team coming into your building, and that'd be a third game against a divisional opponent, which is always tough. Like, I agree with you. The NFC playoffs are going to be very interesting. I think the AFC has their own, drama as well. But yeah, the NFC is going to be fun to watch this year. All right, all right, here we go. Anthony says Washington needs the Rams to lose. Getting nervous. Washington might miss the playoffs because of the Rams. So in that case, you're looking at. Oh, so I guess you're saying like the Commanders get knocked down. You think the Seahawks become the second NFC West team in the playoffs? Hmm. I guess that could happen. I guess it could, obviously. I mean, I've been rooting for the Commanders all year because I like Jaden Daniels coming out of the draft. I thought their start was a great story. I hope they hold on and make the playoffs. So I mean, I'm looking at projections. They have a 10 point, well, they have an 11% chance. No, they have less than 1% chance to win a division. Okay. They have them at an 87% chance to make the postseason. They have the Rams at 54%. They have the Seahawks at 39%. So I think the numbers are in the Commanders' favor. But Anthony, I get why you're worried because they are a young team. And with young teams, you just never know this time of year how they deal with the pressure game in and game out of the playoffs, especially with a young quarterback. So I get that, but I think Washington will be fine. I do.
Yeah, the Seahawks pretty much sunk their own ship there with that performance on Sunday night.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a good opportunity for them, but that's how this season's gone. All right, so let's go Monday night. You want to talk about worried? When you see lines like this, you get worried. So you have the Saints. I guess no Carr. I guess it's gonna be Hayner or Rattler. I don't know who their quarterback is. I know Hayner started this past week, but we'll have to see who they decide to throw under center. Heading to Lambeau Field to face, as Brett mentioned earlier, Toyota Thon Jordan Love and the Packers. 13 and a half point favorites. 2 touchdowns. How do you feel about that, Brett? Where are you going with this one? That's a scary number to see.
That's what's throwing me off. Like, okay, I I'll still take the Packers at 13 and a half just because Carr is out.
Mm-hmm.
And look at this injury. Oh yeah, Alvin Kamara's questionable. Obviously, don't have Olave.
Mm-hmm.
Taysom Hill's on the IR. Yeah, I'll still take the Packers at 13 and a half, but that is a scary line. I do not like that number, but I think the Packers should blow this game out by 2 touchdowns easily.
Yeah.
I let me put it this way: I think we should have the backup quarterback in by the start of the fourth.
Okay. I like that. I agree with you. I'm taking the Packers in this one. I have no reason to believe in the Saints getting this done. I do think that, like you said, I think the Packers get this done, sit some guys, get some backups in, and wait for next week. So 13 and a half is scary, but I will take that as well. Obviously, with that number, the backdoor cover scares you, where they're like up 20 late. Saints get like a garbage touchdown. They lose by 13 instead of 20, and then you're just like, oh, whatever. So, all right. Now we got the rest of week 16. So, once again, if you are new to the channel, we picked the primetime games. This week we do have Saturday games, which I thought about throwing in with the primetime, but I didn't. I just threw them with the rest of the schedule. If you throw in the Saturday games, then this might get a little light to pick from. But yeah, so you have Thursday night, yes, Sunday night, yes, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday games this week. So looking at the rest of the schedule, show my team spread.
Oh, they're there.
That's up there. Yeah, the
They're
Bills are minus 14. Yeah,
14-point underdogs.
I'm not running from that, Anthony. I'm not running. I'll put it up there. Um, so
But
looking at the rest of the schedule, we have Texans traveling to Kansas City. So do you think Mahomes plays or not? Should he play or not? He's dealing with the high ankle sprain. They have a lead of 2 games in the AFC.
I wouldn't play him.
You wouldn't?
No. If I'd consider it, obviously, if the lead drops to 1, because you do
Mhm.
want that 1 seed. But if I have a 2-game lead and going into, we're going into week 16 here, I'd play. Yeah, I can't remember who the backup is off the top of my head, but I would play the
Is it
backup.
is it Carson Wentz?
Oh, it is Carson Wentz. Yeah, I would play Wentz. If you win, awesome. If you lose, maybe it doesn't even matter 100% because maybe they don't even gain a game on you. So,
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, high ankle sprains are nasty. Give Mahomes the time he needs in the
Yeah,
regular season.
yeah. Look, if you're a Chiefs fan, you let Wentz play, however that game plays out, and you root like hell for the Patriots to upset the Bills. That way, you keep the 2 game cushion, and then you have this conversation next week. Maybe you could steal another week with Mahomes sitting. I agree with you. I don't think Mahomes should play this week. Like I said, high ankle sprains are nothing to mess with. So, yeah. But even with that, the Chiefs are a 2.5 point favorite over the Texans. I don't know if Vegas is waiting for like the official word of Mahomes being in or out yet, before they change that. I'd be surprised if we get to Sunday. No, actually, that's the early game on Saturday. Sorry. If we get to Saturday and that line still looks like that. But yeah, the late game on Saturday, we have the Steelers Ravens. Second matchup between those two. Ravens are a 6 point favorite down in Baltimore. Then we got Giants traveling to the Falcons. Falcons are a 9 point favorite over the Giants. Then the line that Anthony couldn't see. Bills are a 14 point favorite up in Orchard Park against the Patriots traveling on the road. Orchard Park is usually not a nice place for the Patriots to go play, but it's 14. The Lions are a 6.5 point favorite going on the road to Chicago to face the Bears. Um, Lions have more injuries to deal with. Montgomery's now out. McNeil is out. The Bears are playing out the string. We'll see how that game goes, but the Lions are a 6.5 point favorite. The Browns, with DTR, as I mentioned earlier, travel to Cincinnati to face Burrow and the Bengals. The Bengals are a 7.5 point favorite at home. Jory Titans traveling to Indy to face the Colts. Okay, Anthony. He's gonna hammer the Bills spread. That's hey. Go ahead, knock yourself out. The Titans travel to Indy. Indy are 3.5 point favorites at home in that matchup. The Rams are a 3 point favorite over the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. We'll see how Aaron feels about that. The Eagles are a 3.5 point favorite over Anthony's Commanders, going on the road. I'm numb. Hey, Jory, look, we're in the same boat. Our teams are just playing out the string. That's all we're doing.
It's all right. I still like the Titans. I think they have a really really nice team. They just need the guy to pull it all together.
Yeah. And look, the Will Levis is being benched. Kind of gives us the opening into what their plans might be in the draft. Take a guy, like you said.
And
I agree with you. I think they have talent on that team. Just gotta get the quarterback position right.
and I think the Patriots have the quarterback, but now just got to fill out the rest
Yeah,
of the skill position on offense mainly.
yeah,
I
I
think you.
agree.
I think you. What do you think for your Patriots? Do you go like wide out in the first round, or I think maybe offensive line.
Yes, I would go O line first round. I think a wide receiver you might go second round, and then I go right back to O line.
The only reason I asked is I've seen quite a few people linking guys like Travis Hunter if you guys get up there for that pick, which is very possible. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking O line, but I was like, I wonder what Kyle thinks. Is it wide out? Is it O line? What's the biggest need going
Yeah.
into?
I mean, I wouldn't hate Hunter because I think Hunter plays corner. You put him opposite of Gonzalez, like you're dealing with a pretty good secondary right there. And it is a pass happy league. You got to deal with Josh Allen. You got to deal with Tua. You got to deal with I was going to say Aaron Rodgers, but it seems like the Jets are done with him. But you're still dealing with some talented wide receiver groups. I wouldn't hate getting a second corner, but I would love to see a tackle. Um, let's see. Oh, the Cardinals. Cardinals are 4.5 point favorites on the road at the Panthers. So the Panthers are favorites last week, first time in like 3 years. They're right back to being an underdog, but the Panthers are still playing well. Vikings are a 3 point favorite on the road, traveling to see the 12th man in the Seahawks. The Jaguars and the Raiders are like off the board, completely even. So all you got to do is pick the winner. Don't have to worry about a line in that one. And 49ers, I mean, the over under on that game is like 39. Like they think that game's going to be brutal. Then you have the 49ers traveling to Miami to face the Dolphins. The Dolphins are a 1.5 point favorite over the Niners. So now we will each pick our favorite from the rest of the schedule and our underdog that we think will cover. So Brett, where are you going with your favorite and your underdog?
I'll take the underdog in the Jaguars and Raiders game. No, I'm kidding. Oh, this is so tough. This is so tough. For my favorite, give me the Bengals over the Browns.
Okay.
Genuinely, because DTR is just pretty genuinely awful. So I think Joe Burrow just lights them up. And for my underdog, it's tough because the Bears just put on one of the worst experiences ever, but the Lions are just so banged up at this point. They're tempting.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Underdog, give me the Giants covering against the Falcons.
Okay. All right. Giants +9. I mean, I don't know if the Falcons should be a 9 point favorite over anybody with the way that their
That
offense is struggling right now.
that's what I'm thinking. I just watched them play a Raiders team that didn't have Max Crosby, and you would think that that team had five Max Crosbys rushing the passer at all times. Kirk
Yeah.
Cousins has the mobility of an oak tree, and he's just making so many stupid reads all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's definitely an issue with them. And I think that's why Anthony alluded to earlier. We might see Penix in that week 17 matchup against Jaden Daniels because I think Falcons fans are getting real tired of Kirk Cousins. So I agree with that. All right. So for me, let's see, favorite underdog. I know there's a couple of underdogs I'm looking at for sure. In terms of a favorite, I think I'll take the Rams -3 against the Jets. I, yeah, I'm not. I mean, you guys know the Jets' misery is my like that's internal happiness. I just think the Rams right now they are battling. They've battled all the way to the top of the NFC West. I think at this point they probably won't let that go. I know a couple of weeks ago I thought the Seahawks would be able to hold on and win that division, but I think the Rams are just playing the best football right now. I think look on paper, seeing Matt Stafford versus Aaron Rodgers is a great matchup. In reality, only one of them is really playing at a elevated level. I think.
I
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I just wanted to add, I do think since week 8, Aaron Rodgers has picked it up a lot.
He has
Obviously,
for a little bit. Yes.
they haven't been winning games still, which is the big issue. But Rodgers himself has 13 touchdowns to one interception since week 8. So
Hmm.
hey, I will say this should actually just be a really fun quarterback matchup this week.
Yeah. And I think that the Rams are the better team, so I'll take them in this matchup. As Jory says,
The
don't get me started on discount double fraud in the engines.
the issue. I think the Rams do cover because they just might 50-piece this Jets defense.
Yeah, yeah. So it could be an interesting one for sure. All right, my underdog. Like I said, there's a couple of games I'm looking at. I could go homer and be like, "There's no way the Bills are going to beat the Patriots by 2 touchdowns." I'm not going to do that because I think for Drake May, first time up at Orchard Park, I think that's going to be a tough experience for him. I could go Steelers +6 against the Ravens because as the resident Raven hater, I'm wired to think that way. So I'm just throwing that out there.
I think another good one is 49ers over the Dolphins.
I, for some reason, I see that line and I think that's crazy. I know the 49ers are banged up, but the Dolphins are just a mess right now.
Yeah, I say 49ers are banged up. The Dolphins just suck.
Yeah. I don't. I mean, you normally get 3 points for being the home team, so the fact they're only a point and a half kind of lets you know that's another interesting one. I mean, if Mahomes doesn't play like Texans Chiefs, that's one to go for. I'm gonna bank on Mahomes not playing. I, I look. I feel like I might be the last one holding out the smallest hope for the Texans. I thought before the season the Texans were going to be a really good team this year. Look, if Mahomes does not play, I don't care that the game's in Arrowhead. If the Texans can't beat Carson Wentz and the Chiefs, like what are we doing here? So I'll take the Texans +2.5, just on the fact that I don't think Mahomes plays in this game. All right. So I guess to remind you all, our picks. So Thursday night football, we are split. Brett's going with the Broncos +3. I had the Chargers -3. On Sunday night, we're split again because Brett's taking the Cowboys +4. I've got the Bucks -4. Monday night, we're both taking the Packers big over the Saints -13.5. Your favorite, you got the Bengals -7.5 against the Browns. I got the Rams -3 against the Jets. And you have for your underdog, you got the Giants +9 against the Falcons. I got the Texans +2.5 against the Chiefs. Anthony with his picks has Titans over the Colts, Giants over the Falcons. Underdog might not happen, but Jets over the Rams. Okay.
The defense would have to play very inspired because I think the problem and the only reason I wouldn't go Jets over the Rams is I think Rodgers could legitimately drop 35 with that offense against the Rams. Probably won't be enough.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I would worry about their defense on the other side. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm banking on Rams knowing the opportunities in front of them to take the division. You're going up against a Jets team that's struggling for answers right now. This is a game you go in there, do your business, get out, and keep moving. I mean, yes, I do think the Jets will make it interesting, but the Rams should definitely get that one done. I mean, are there any other matchups you want to talk about before we get out of here? Before we move on?
Uh no, I'm just excited for another, fun week of football. I think there's going to be some fun ones. See
Yeah.
how Seattle rebounds. They desperately need to win over the Vikings, and they might get it. Vikings have a playoff spot locked up, so who knows? Maybe
I
they
mean,
start
The
resting some
Vikings
guys.
still technically have something to play for.
So,
They
yeah,
have the chance to overtake the Lions if the Lions slip up, but I mean, we'll have to see how that plays. Because that is kind of crazy. Like you could literally have two teams be like the Lions could be like 13-4. No, I'm not gonna say the Vikings lose out, but like Lions can be like 14-3. The Lions can be the Vikings can be 13-4 and be the fifth seed. That's crazy.
oh,
I mean,
that that would be so brutal.
mm-hmm. And then turn around and have to go on the road to LA to face a Rams team wild card weekend.
It'd be a rematch of last year, except flipped.
Yes. I mean, look, the league would probably love to see that. All right. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I did have another question before we move on. Let me put this down here. Let everybody know. Has Josh Allen locked up the MVP?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's be real. Lamar Jackson threw for 5 touchdowns, and Josh Allen's MVP odds went up to win it.
Yeah.
He's now like a minus 900 or something like that. So I think it's over. I think his 6 touchdown performance, followed up by another like 4 touchdown performance this past week
Hmm.
against Detroit. Yeah, I think it's done. I think this MVP race is over with.
Yeah, I think it's hard to look at what Josh Allen's doing and not think that he doesn't have it. I Yeah, because I know a lot of Ravens fans are like, "Oh, look what Lamar did against the Giants." Yeah, look what Josh Allen did against a better opponent. Like that for me was it right there. I know Lamar has better passing yards, but once again, that V means valuable. You take Josh Allen off the Bills, how many games are they actually winning? I mean, they would be probably where the Patriots are, 3-win team. Not to say if you took Lamar off the Ravens, they'd be some great team, but you would still be able to turn around and hand it off to Derrick Henry, who would still be able to make some things happen for you. So I agree with you. I think Josh Allen has locked it up. I mean, I still think that this is a year if you wanted to go non-quarterback, you could, but it's hard to deny what Josh Allen's kind of been doing during this final stretch. And that might be the biggest thing for him. He's doing it now, end of the season where everybody's really focusing on MVP, and he's putting a lot of heat on Kansas City to continue to win. Otherwise, the Bills could be the number one overall seed. And if I'm Kansas City, I don't necessarily want to have an AFC title game up at Orchard Park. I think that would be a tough spot to put them in, even though Kansas City's been there, done that, has that pedigree. That would be a tough ask for sure. But I agree with you. I think Josh Allen has locked it up, unless he just goes completely off the deep end, and turns into
This this
that.
is I want to say this is normally the part of the year where we see who is actually the MVP. Like we saw the same thing happen last year. Lamar Jackson, I forgot who was all in the conversation, but it was a tight race, and then Lamar went crazy over like a 3 week span, locked it up. More of the same. Josh Allen, Lamar this year, they're in a tight race for MVP, but now Josh Allen goes nuclear at the right time and just locks it up. So
Yeah, I agree. Do have a question from Anthony. Should you bench Caleb Williams?
no.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Um
you let the young you let the young guy go out there and kind of just work through it.
no, yeah, I agree. I think that the Bears, you just keep him out there at this point and just kind of let him get more reps in. I think that's just more valuable than putting the backup in.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, it's a lost season again for Chicago, and if I'm Chicago, you might as well just let Caleb stay out there and just take his bumps and lumps. And year two, maybe if I'm Chicago, accidentally stumble upon a competent coach and coordinator combo, and this team could really take off. I don't think they're that far away, but they should be prioritizing Caleb Williams' development, and that development needs to happen on a football field, not carrying a clipboard.
yeah. I mean, yeah, because not necessarily everything is his fault for their season, but he's also not without blame. I think we saw in the game last night there were open receivers that he just missed, whether he was throwing high or held onto the ball a little too long and threw late. I think those are the things that you can use these final weeks to try to break that habit, especially the holding the ball late. 'Cause I do think with that, he's exposed himself to more unnecessary hits this season. I think that's where I'm assuming that's where the question's coming from. He's taking a lot of sacks and a lot of hits outside of the sacks, and you're wondering whether or not you should expose him to more of that. I agree with you. I say you do, and hope he kind of learns a little bit here in the end. And
It,
also, look, with the season down the toilet, he's a guy who's normally used to winning. You can kind of see what kind of leader he is these last few weeks as well, which I think is important to the job also. So I agree. You leave him out there and just deal with it.
yeah, and like at the end of the day, I think that this problem holding the football, I think that's easily corrected by just like once again just getting a competent offensive coordinator in there,
Mm-hmm.
somebody who knows what they're doing. A lot of these quarterbacks, you've heard the term they take a three-step drop. A lot of the times when they get to that third step, the ball comes out.
Mm-hmm.
But with the Bears, their route concepts and just offense in general is such a mess that by the time Caleb gets to the top of his drop, nobody's open still, and things just aren't developing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like they don't have talent on that offense. There's a ton of talent on that offense. So
Yeah.
to me, it's really just you put together a bunch of coaches that don't know how how to use these pieces at all. And I think that's the biggest issue. So I think once Caleb gets a competent OC that knows how to actually scheme guys properly, you'll see him, get the ball out quicker because we've seen him do it in spurts this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he does better at that next year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's at least the hope if you're a Bears fan. And I did just look up the odds. Yes, Josh Allen's basically the overwhelming favorite at this point. Lamar Jackson is second, plus 700. I think Josh Allen's like minus 450 or minus 700. Saquon Barkley third, plus 1400. And rounding out the top five, Jared Goff is right now number four, plus 2500. And fifth is Sam Darnold at plus 10,000. So there you go. You wanna win a nice chunk of change. You put someone Sam Darnold if you think he can win the MVP. I think that's a far stretch, but yeah, it seems like according to Vegas, like they think as long as Josh Allen continues this play and doesn't turn into arm punt Josh Allen with like 3-4 picks a game, we will probably finally see Josh Allen win that elusive MVP. And I don't think, well, I know some fans in the Baltimore area might be mad at that. I think you got to give them his props for what they've done this season.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
My
That's, oh,
my
go ahead.
que- my question to you, Kyle, have Tragan and I convinced you that Toyota Thon love is real yet? It's real, I'm telling
I'm,
you right now.
I'm all in. I'm all in on Toyota Thon, Jared Love. Like it's crazy that that he just does that. I mean, if you're a Packers fan, you're like, hey, just do an extended Toyota Thon, just stretch for the whole season,
Right?
see what kind of year you
I,
get out of him.
for anybody that doubts the power of Toyota Thon, I want to read you these stats. The last 2 years, I'm going to read you a stats for weeks 1 through 10 because
Okay.
Toyota Thon normally starts through during week 11. Weeks 1 through 10, the last 2 seasons. 59% completion percentage, 239 yards a game, 29 touchdowns to 20 interceptions. He's averaging 7 yards an attempt. 83 quarterback rating. That's solid numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You have a solid starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Jordan Love, week 11 on the last 2 seasons, 69.8 completion percentage, 253 yards a game, over 8 yards an attempt, 26 touchdowns to 2 interceptions with an 114 quarterback rating.
Hey, look, you'd rather your quarterback show up later in the year than earlier. So he's got that right. I gotta ask, like, does he have a Toyota endorsement? I don't know how this hasn't worked yet. If he doesn't,
He doesn't, and it's the weirdest thing. Like,
crazy.
yeah, it is. That's something I love about Jordan Love, and that's almost why I never worry, even if he starts out slow. Everyone's talking about interceptions. I'm like, I ain't worried about it because he's that guy that he starts out slow, but you can just see it as the year goes on. He clicks and just he heats up late, and I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah.
It's like when I was still hearing before the Seahawks game, people were like, "This game's going to come down to Jordan Love's interception problem." He hasn't thrown an interception in a month. His last interception came in that 2019 20-19 win against the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
There isn't an interception problem right now.
No, I definitely agree. Definitely agree. Um, yeah, I think that's actually all I had for you. I know, Brett is going to go off and do and one. I guess he can let the people know what to expect on and one tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna be reacting and doing a watch along to Thunder Bucks NBA Cup Finals, and it's gonna be a ton of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. You're more than welcome to join us if you'd like, Kyle.
I will. I'll definitely tune in. I'm on the fence whether or not I will make an appearance on the show. I'll let you know for sure. Um, Also, I did notice that I think you had some comments under your video that for some reason didn't pop up in here, which I don't know how that is, but because
Oh,
basically, like we talk about the All Star game, one Jordan put me in the 3-point contest. Okay,
uh,
Cottrell did tune in. Said hadn't it's been a while since he tuned in. Says he loved Inside the NBA entertainment. He kind of agree with you. He said like clearly they don't watch the games, which is why they kind of criticize it a lot.
yeah, I think that is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Cottrell makes a great point in saying that part of the problem definitely is that you need like 50 different TV subscriptions. It feels like to watch all these teams.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely a big part of the problem because even if you have League Pass, your local team's blacked out, and along with the nationally televised
Mm-hmm.
game, so now you need the Bally Sports package, and then you need to make sure you find a package that has the stations for national
Yep.
televised games.
Yep.
I think just an oversaturation of streaming services you need to purchase to watch all the games is an issue. But I think it also comes down to just the dumbing down of the regular season. I think that's a big part I didn't mention earlier, and I'll throw that out there too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like if I tell you, Kyle, for example, I start hyping up Joel Embiid, you'll be like, yeah, Joel Embiid's a great player. He's awesome. He has an MVP. But the most NBA fans are like, okay, but what has he done in the playoffs? What has he done in the playoffs? And I think that's kind of a problem because now it's like nobody cares about the regular season because it's not the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm sitting here hearing the regular season doesn't matter, it's only the playoffs that matter, why am I going to tune in on a Tuesday night to watch the game? Or if I'm off on Thursday, why am I even going to bother to tune in? Like,
Yeah.
so I think it's not that challenging to fix. I just think, like we talked about, like the guys connected with the NBA just have to be a lot more positive about the product.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think us as just media and fans have to really stop pushing this narrative that the regular season doesn't matter. If we want, if you really want to see these ratings up,
Mm-hmm.
because the reality is the regular season does. Only
Yeah.
I think only like one team in NBA history has won the finals outside of the top three seeds in the outside of the top three seeds.
Mm-hmm.
The last team I can remember doing it was that like 90, I think it was 94 Rockets were the 5 seed and they won the whole thing.
Yeah, it has been that. Yeah, that's a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. So we want to go, well, seeding doesn't, it's just getting unhealthy. Like historically speaking, seeding very much is relevant
Yeah.
because if you're not a top three seed, chances are you're not winning.
Yeah.
That's just facts. That's just trends. So I don't like this whole it doesn't matter. No, it does. I promise you.
Mm-hmm.
It matters when you get all those extra games in in front of your home crowd. At the end, it really does.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with all of that. It's because we talked about it earlier. Like it's where the NBA could use a little bit from the WNBA, and WNBA could learn a lot from the NBA. Yeah. So, like I said, we'll kind of wrap this up because you do have to get ready for on the ball. I'm not on the ball, and one where you do the in-season tournament finals. But I will say for those of you watching, if you go to the Integrity Sports Network page, if you want to enter in the um, college football bracket challenge, you can do that. There's a group that's been created. See if you can do better than uh, some of us who may enter. And make sure you do it before Friday, which I think is when the first playoff games will get started. And also be on the lookout for some more kind of fun stuff like that on the page. But yes, give us a like, follow, subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Bit of I think it's a bit of a shorter show, but we still got through a lot. So definitely appreciate all of you for tuning in. Make sure you come back next Tuesday, 7 o'clock, for some more on the ball action here. So with that, make sure you check out Brett and One Podcast here in a little bit, and come back next week. Greatly appreciate it. So enjoy the rest of your night. We'll see you all next week. All right.